Hello everyone, am I audible? You can put a thumbs up or react in the chat if possible. Okay, okay, I think, yeah, cool. Okay, great. So, since it's not yet 3 o'clock, okay, thanks. We'll wait for a few more minutes. I can see that people are still joining. So let's wait for a few more minutes so that people can join. Okay?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, is there a question? Okay. So let's wait for a few minutes because people are still joining. So that's what I was saying. Okay, we can slowly start the session and people can keep joining since it's 3. Uh, Let me just turn my camera on. Okay, so hello everyone. Again, I hope I am audible to everybody here. So I will just share my screen. Okay. So can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great, great. Thanks. So yeah, so welcome to this problem solving session. And please mute yourself if you're not. Hello? Please mute yourself if you're not talking because it's like creating feedback. So please mute. I'm not able to mute you. Please mute yourself if anyone is talking. Okay, thank you. So yeah, right. So before we start, I'll just introduce myself. So my name is Zenia. I am a PhD student at and Prime Minister's Research Fellow at the Indian Institute of Science. So my PhD work is largely, I am an astrophysicist. I come from an astrophysics background. But what you will find is that, if you're thinking, why is someone who is from a physics background teaching programming? What you will find is that programming today comes into every aspect of our life and every aspect, every field as well, right? So, in that sense, I think that, it's good to have different perspectives of programming. And at the same time, what we're going to be learning here is the basics, and you can apply it to whatever field you're in. Please mute if you are, uh, yeah, please. Hello? I am not able to mute people. So please mute if you are not having any question, you can mute. If you have any question, please unmute and ask any time between the lecture. That's fine. But if not, keep it muted so there is no disturbance, right? So again, my name is Zenia. So I will be hosting these problem solving sessions every Saturday from 3 to 5. I think there are also two other TAs who are doing similar things. So mostly we will be covering maybe similar material. So if any of you have difficulty to join one session, you can join the other. Of course, you can. Okay, someone says I am not audible. Is anyone else having this problem?
No, madam, you are perfectly audible.
Okay, so then maybe Shubham, you can check from your side. Let me just reply to. Maybe some issue on their side. Okay. So, yeah, so as I was saying, I come from an astrophysics background, but I use Python and I use programming almost every day in my work. And you will find that in today's world, most people use some aspect of programming in almost every part of their work. Apart from that, this is a course that will teach you programming fundamentals and also using Python. And I must say, Python is one of the more easier languages to pick up. Okay, so that's why it is a nice idea to start with it. And of course, the way to think about programming is it's problem solving, right? It is logic. So you can't mug it up or you can't do it.
Camera.
Guys, please mute if you're, it's really disturbing. I'm recording the session, so whatever you talk will be available to see for everyone. So be careful when you unmute, right? It's not nice. Okay. So I forgot what I was saying. No, so what I was saying is, yeah, learning programming and learning programming languages are two different things. Programming is like a mindset, it's a set of logic where you are trying to solve problems, right? So that you have to do by solving problems. So it's like the way that I think about it is it's like riding a cycle, right? You can watch videos of people riding cycles, you can watch video of people riding cycle, you can read books about cycles, but until you go and sit on the cycle and ride yourself, you will not be able to ride a bicycle, right? Similar thing goes for programming. You can watch lectures, you can read books, you can, see other people doing programs. But until you sit and try to solve the problem yourself, you will not be able to be a good programmer. So I'm telling you now itself that every week you're going to be having different assignments. So please make sure that you do the assignment yourself, put in the effort, try to code up. If any program is discussed in the class, try to do it yourself. Don't just copy paste code from somewhere and put it yourself, right? Try to actually come up with the logic. See, coming up with the logic is the most important part. There is two parts to programming. There is logic and then there is syntax. Syntax is like the grammar, right? How to write it in the proper way that Python recognizes. If you make a mistake there, it's fine. You'll get it with practice. But logic, you have to keep solving problems so that when you see some kind of problem, you can immediately see that this kind of algorithm or this kind of instructions apply. So that's what this course is preparing you for, to have a computational mindset when you see a problem, right? So I will talk to you about details of recording and everything in a second. Let me just give the introduction first. So yeah, so this is the idea of the course. The course is about developing a programming mindset. So remember, you're not just learning Python. Python is just a language. It's just a series of commands and all that. You are actually learning the programming mindset. And as I said, to learn programming effectively, you have to do it yourself. So try to attend as many sessions as you can. As I said, this is my session 3 to 5. Apart from that, you have your weekly lectures which are recorded, and I think two other TAs are also taking sessions at different times. There are 3 sessions so that you guys can coordinate according to your availability. You can see that some hands are up. If you have any questions, please go ahead. Okay. And yeah, coming to the session. So let me just share my screen again and I'll talk to you about what is the purpose of this session and how you should approach it. Okay. So again, please mute if you're not. Let me just join on my phone so I can monitor the chat. If you have any questions, please either raise your hand or you can unmute or you can put it in the chat also. I'm monitoring the chat. Okay. So yeah, guys, please unmute. Please mute yourself. If you're not talking, if you don't have a question, please mute. Okay, someone muted me. Please don't do that. I know it's a little chaotic because it's the first class, but please be a little careful, okay? And if you don't have a question, don't unmute, because there are actually almost 200 people in the chat. So if one person unmute, if many people unmute, then it becomes a very big issue, okay? If you have a question, you can go ahead. I can see hand raised. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. What if I have 2 exams on the same date? For
What
example,
exams?
this exam is on March 22nd.
Okay.
Also, there is another exam, which is a 4 mix course, which is on the same date. Can we apply both?
Okay, so I am not sure about this. Please check with the MRO, sorry, the NPTEL people. So I am an external person who's here to solve the problems. All issues regarding exam and other things, you can probably send them a mail, or there is this discussion forum in the course. You can write there and see what they say. I don't think they will. So what is your other course? I don't think it might not clash. I don't know about it. You can check with them. So I think there is some deadline for exam registration. So before that, you can check all these details and register.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, great. So yeah, so again, I'm a external TA who's here to like basically help you with your problem solving sessions. So what is this problem solving session that I keep saying, right? So basically, you have the class throughout the week where you're watching some pre-recorded lectures, right? And then you have an assignment. So this is meant to be more of an interactive session where you can actually talk to me and get your doubts cleared live. And apart from that, we'll also be solving some problems which is related to your assignment. So it will be very similar questions to your assignment, but not exact questions, because assignment questions finally you should do on your own. Okay, so this is the idea. So basically, we'll go through a recap of what was taught in the class. The way I structure it is, I have taken such course like 2-3 times now. I usually just go through a recap of what was taught in the class, and I do some questions at the end. Since the first class, I have not put many questions, just a few. From next class onwards, we'll do more rigorous programming as well. So the point is that what I want to try to tell you is that this is a live session where we can actually interact with each other, not like your recorded lectures which professor is sharing with you. So if you have any topics that you want discussed in the class, or you have any pressing doubts to clear, this will be the right forum for it. So this is my mail ID. I'll share it at the end of the class as well. Here in this, you can mail me anytime throughout the week, preferably before Friday or Thursday. I would prefer if you mail me, because our session is on Saturday. Then saying that I want this topic to be covered, or I want this aspect to be covered, then I can prepare the slides or prepare the material in such a way that I can clear that doubt for you. Okay, so this is my mail ID. It's in all the slides. I mean, it's in the first slide, and it is also you can mail me anytime and ask me about this. Apart from that, the sessions, as I said, will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube. So the links will be shared with you as well. Uh, you can watch the session later. It will be on my YouTube page. So this is a website that I have. So if you just go to this website, you can see that all the details of the course are here. You can see that I have not made the playlist yet because this is the very first class, but I can show you how it will be. Should wait 1 sec. Hmm. So this is from the Python course I took last time in July 2024. So you can see that all the lectures are available in a playlist. I will make a similar playlist for this time also. So you can just, just after this class, sorry, after this class, you can just go to my page and it will be updated, and also the NPTEL team will be sharing it with you. I will also be sharing the slides, the PowerPoint presentation that I've made. I will share the slides in a drive. So again, this is like the last year's playlist that I had made. Slides are available, but I will share that link also. So I'll update all these links today. So don't worry about it. You will get all the links. The NPTEL team will also share the links with you. So yeah, if any of you miss any sessions, don't worry about it. You will be able to watch it. But again, my point is that if you're going to watch it later, then there is no difference between the class that you're watching of professor and this class, right? The point of this class is that you can have some interaction, and if you have any doubt, you can immediately get it cleared. So I will recommend for you that you are having 3 such sessions. Mine is on Saturday. I think there are 2 other sessions on Thursday or Friday. Uh, Sorry, 1 sec. Uh, okay. Sorry, my power just went. Am I still audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
okay. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, as I was saying, so there are 3 such sessions. One is on I think I don't know the other dates exactly, maybe Thursday and Monday or something. So try to attend at least one of the sessions. If possible, you can attend multiple sessions. As I said, with programming, it's something that you have to do yourself. And in these sessions, I'm going to be sharing the question and I'm going to be giving you time for you to solve it in the class, and then we'll discuss the answer. So that's how, again, as I said, I have already taken one of these Python courses last time. That's how I did it. I used to give the problem statement, then give some time for the people to solve it in class, and then we would discuss the solution together. So I think if you attend these classes, you will be forced to do a little bit of programming at least, right? So this is the idea of the sessions. Basically, it's to discuss the material of the class and solve some problems related to your assignments and so on. Okay. So any other questions at this point? Anything, you can please let me know.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
No questions till now, I
Yeah,
guess.
Zinia, uh, Ma'am, just
Hello.
before a person asked, ma'am,
Uh,
if we have exams on the same date, can you explain that again, ma'am, what you have said? Because I went out of the meeting.
Okay, so I am not part of the NPTEL team who handles the exams and other kind of things. I am just an external person who is here to conduct these sessions for you. Okay, so my role is to just conduct these extra sessions for you. So my role is more to do this problem solving and clear your doubts. So I don't know about the logistics of exam and how they are arranging it. So it'll be better if you can mail them directly, or otherwise in your course page you will have this discussion forum. You can try putting it there. Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, I have one question. Maybe it is something which is related to exam, but then I just wanted to know what would be the pattern of it, the exam. Would it be like the pattern which they had in Python earlier, or will it be something different? Like we have to do some programming also, write it
So
during the exam.
once again, I am saying, I am not involved in the exam in any way. So I don't know how they are going to conduct.
Okay, fine, fine.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would say that these courses, they are extra courses. I understand you want to get the certification, but try to just get better at programming in general. Exam and all will come naturally after that. Okay. So try to approach this. You're learning a course. There's some time for the exam. I'm sure you'll get the details by that time, right? So first try to get into the course and the material before worrying about the exam. Okay, so yeah, so did I miss anything? No, I was just doing some introduction and yeah, okay. So where can we see the recorded lecture? As I said, I have a website. I've shared it in the slide where I'm putting all the links. Apart from that, the NPTEL team is also going to be sharing the links with you. Okay. If any of you for any reason cannot find, at the end of the session, I'll again share the links with you. But if any of you for any reason cannot find the links, please mail me. I will mail it to you. Okay. So I think that's all. We have spent good number of time with housekeeping. Any other doubts before I move? I'm going to go to the class. Okay. I hope there are no other pressing doubts. Okay. So let's and please, if you don't have a doubt, please keep yourself muted. If you have a doubt, please, you can interrupt me at any time. As I said, the point of this class is for it to be a live session. So you can interrupt me at any time. I don't mind, either in the chat or you can just unmute and start talking. But if you don't have any doubts, just keep it muted because the background noise will cause echo and then the recording won't be proper. Okay, great. So let's come to the course. As I said, with programming, it's about finding a way of thinking, right? When you have a problem, you're going to have, how do I, is there a question? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. I was asking that my seniors have told me C language is the basic for Python and all. So I haven't done the C language yet. So there will be any sort of problems for me
No,
to
no.
understand
So
the
there's nothing like that.
Python.
So Python you can learn independent of C. Later, if you want to pick up C, that also you can pick up. So way you think about it is like this. Okay. You have your logic and then you have the language you're writing on, right? For example, you can have something that you want to communicate with another person. That communication you can do in English, you can do in Hindi, you can do in any language, right? But the idea is the same. Programming is similar, where your idea or the solving of the problem is based on some logic. That logic is going to be the same. What is going to change is which language you're communicating in. So every language has its own script, it has its own grammar and rules. Similarly, Python has its own rules, C has its own rules. In some situations, it's better to use C, in some situations, it's better to use Python. But that is quite advanced for your level. When you're just starting out programming, it's better to just pick up a language so that you get used to the logic. Once you get the logic, you can learn C, Fortran, whatever language you want because you have the logic. You just need to learn the grammar, right? That's how you think about it. So don't worry about not knowing C. Okay, before then, this brings me to a good point. Just very quickly before I start, how many of you have some programming experience or have done some kind of programming before, just raise your hand, just to get a rough count. It's okay if you haven't. This is a completely introductory course. So if you haven't done also, it's fine. Okay, I can see that there are good number of people who have done and some people who have not done also. That's fine. Okay, so people who have already done, maybe in the beginning, this is going to be somewhat basic because I'm going through, some basic things again. So just bear with me because there might be people who are completely new to programming also. But yeah, okay, thanks. You can all keep your hands down. I just wanted to get a rough count. Okay, good. Again, don't worry if you have not encountered programming before. This is the thing. Okay, great. So, as I was saying to the person who asked a question also, programming is about thought process, right? That's what I was saying in the beginning. To learn programming, it's like you have to do programming. It's like riding a cycle. You can't ride a cycle by watching videos of people riding cycle. You have to do the programs yourself. So now you can see that in the title of the course itself, I have three things. I have programming, I have data structures and algorithms. So data structures and algorithms are what we are going to be using to solve our problems. So first, let's understand all these things. And of course, finally, the language that we are using is Python, right? That's why it's using Python. And I will say that I am someone who has used little bit of C, little bit of C++, a lot of Python. C and C++ have their place, but Python is very easy to pick up because a lot of the sort of rules are not there in Python. So it becomes like you can more focus on the logic. So when you're first starting out, you don't have to worry about the grammar or the syntax so much. You can just focus on the logic, and then later, as I said, you have a toolkit, right? You can just apply that to another language. It becomes very easy. Okay. So let me go to so in this class, in the first week's class, you looked at what are algorithms, what are data structures, and specifically you looked at this specific algorithm to calculate what is called the greatest common divisor. And actually, you didn't look at one algorithm, you looked at multiple algorithms, right? And that was intentional. And we'll try to go do a recap of all that today. Again, since today is the first class, I've not brought in a lot of questions. I've brought in a few that we'll solve at the end. Next class onwards, we'll try to do more programs as well. I didn't want to start very heavy, so that's why. So yeah. Okay. So as I said, the course title tells us about three things: programming, data structures, and algorithms. I'm just checking the chat one sec. I'm an engineering student of first year studying artificial intelligence and machine learning. Python is important or not? My course. Okay. So you are doing artificial intelligence and machine learning. I am an astrophysicist. So if you think about how much overlap is there between it, from an outside perspective, you would think that artificial intelligence is much more closely aligned with Python than astrophysics, right? But what you will find is that programming programming is a tool, right? You should think of it. Programming is not like your degree. Programming is a tool that you will use to solve problems. So whether it's artificial intelligence, whatever it is, astrophysics for me, biologists, chemists, almost every person I know in different fields of study, they all have some use of programming in their life, right? So again, when you learn programming, you're not just it's not a very narrow thing. You're learning a way of thinking or a way of approaching problems. That's important no matter what field you're in. This is my understanding. How do I make sure I attend the same TA session every time? My session is Saturday 3 to 5. If you attend Saturday 3 to 5, it will be my session. Other TAs have other slots. Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt the class, but problems come in the questions are coming. So I'm just telling. Are the session assignments same as the NPTEL assignments or different? So I will be giving problems which are related to your assignment, but not exact. The assignment problems should be solved by you. So don't think that you'll come here and get the assignment questions for free. That's not going to happen. Just it will be very similar. So if you have any trouble understanding assignment question, maybe I will solve something which is very related, very much related. It will be easier for you. Sorry about the noise from the background. Okay, fine. With all that, let's go. I will take questions later now because we need to get to the class. So as I said, if you look at the name of the course, there's three things: programming, data structure, and algorithm. So let's break that down, break this into three parts. So first of all, what is programming? I think I've spoken enough about what programming is, but at its essence, it's we are going to give instructions to a computer to follow a task, right? We have a problem statement. We want a computer to do it. We cannot just talk to the computer like we talk to a human being. So we need to give a set of instructions, and that creating that set of instructions is what is called programming. And this is a quote that I really like about programming, which is that a good programmer looks both ways before crossing a wire. Okay, someone in the meeting muted me. Please don't do that. So this is one of my favorite quotes, which is that a good programmer looks both ways before crossing a one-way street. And this maybe you might not appreciate now, but those of you who have done some coding, you will appreciate that whenever we give instructions to a computer, we have to not only think about our intended outcome, but we should think about all the possible outcomes that are there, right? We might be only interested in one aspect of the problem or one part of the problem, but computer is going to be solving it generally. So we have to make sure that we are very specific and we take care of all the different aspects of a problem. So that's what I mean by programming is logical thinking, and you have to get into that mindset. Okay, so yeah, even though we know it's a one way street, we still have to make sure all the checks and balances are there so that we don't make any mistake in our program. So this is like this is an XKCD comic. So you can see that this can also lead to some funny situations where sometimes programmers have a situation of overcomplicating a problem which could be done very simply. So this person is locked downstairs and they're trying to hack into the thing and trying to catch the attention of someone who's inside. And finally their friend says, "Oh, doesn't the doorbell work?" And he has not even tried the doorbell. So don't fall into that trap of also like overcomplicating a problem during your programming. But yeah, just a comic for you. Okay, so as I said, programming is a set of instructions. To give the set of instructions, that's why we need data structures and algorithms. And I'm sure you will be learning more about data structures and algorithms as you go on in the course. But essentially, data structures are the way that you package your data. There's different kinds of data that you can have in your program or in your computer system. So you can have numbers, you can have strings. Strings are basically like words or characters using the alphabets and other characters. You can have arrays or lists of numbers. So you can have many different things that you have, and depending on what is the kind of data you need, you can store it in a particular structure. So that is what is a data structure. So that each kind of information has to be handled differently. If you have a form that you're filling where you're entering your name, age, date of birth, phone number, all of them should not have the same data structure, right? Your phone number will be a number numeric form, whereas your name is going to be an alphabetic form, your age is going to be a numeric form, and so on. So you have to think about what is the most efficient way to organize that kind of data in your system. And you will, again, these are kinds of very much, I'm talking very much theoretically right now, but these are the aspects that you have to start thinking of when you start writing your own programs. So these are the kind of different data types that you will encounter. You will have strings, which, as I said, are words or characters. You have integers. You have float, which is basically with decimal points when you have a number. You have Boolean. Boolean is very interesting and very useful for us when we come to something called loops, where you have true or false values. So for example, if I give the statement 5 is greater than 3, that is a true statement and it's given the value 1. Whereas if I give 5 is less than 3, that is a false statement and it's given the value of 0. So many times what will happen is you will have to execute code based on whether a statement is true or false. So you will first check if a statement is true or false. If the statement is true, then you will be executing some code or something like that. So in those cases, these kinds of Boolean values become very important. Okay, again, these are theoretical things. You will get it better when you start writing your own programs, but I still wanted to mention everything in the beginning. Finally, we have algorithm. Okay, so the algorithm is, now we have our program, we have our numbers in terms of some data structures. I want to write my program, I have to use an algorithm. The algorithm is a procedure where I am actually going to write what is the sequence of events that our computer should use. Now, what to understand is that for every problem, there is not a unique algorithm, right? There are many different kinds of ways to solve the same problem. And we have to make sure that we are doing an efficient job or an efficient work when we are trying to have solve the problem, right? For example, if I ask you to print a certain statement 100 times, I can sit and I can write 100 print statements, right? I can write print hello, print hello, print hello. I can sit and write that. But then what is the use of that? What is the difference between me sitting and writing hello 100 times in paper and me sitting and writing print hello 100 times on the screen? There has to be some advantage to using my computer, right? There has to be some advantage for me to be going and using this computational thinking. So we have to make sure we use the correct algorithm or the most efficient algorithm. So you will see in some time about loops and other things where you can actually take advantage of the computer, and you just, what I said, which will take 100 lines, you can actually write it in 3 lines or even 2 lines. Okay, so you have to make sure that you are using the most efficient way. Again, the why are we giving the problem to the computer in the first place? Because we are encountering some problem which will be either too difficult for us to solve, or it'll take too much time for us to do by hand, right? So we have to make sure that when we are giving a problem to a computer, it is actually giving us some sort of benefit in terms of time or other things. Okay. So yeah, this is again some sort of comic, because many people say algorithm when they just don't know what's happening. But what you'll see is that a lot of very smart people have found algorithms for almost all things. So we'll be learning a few of them as we go through the class. Okay. So before I go to programming languages, is there any questions? Let me check. Is the session recorded? Yes, I spoke about the details of recording in the beginning. I will also talk about it at the end of the class. I don't want to stop now. Again, recorded videos, everything will be shared with you. I will tell you all the details again at the end of the class. I have also taken Java. Okay, so I am not sure about what I should do regarding this Java question. Please check it with whoever is taking the course or your own code. Just yeah, with coding, another big aspect of coding is that you should not expect, or yeah, you cannot expect and you should not expect that the first time you write the program, everything will work very perfectly, right? Again, as I said, it's about logic. And as I said, just remember that quote that a good programmer has to look both ways before crossing a one-way street. So many times you will write a program specifically for a function, and then you'll find that if you deviate a little bit from that, you kind of get some uh, other complete kind of result. So you always have to debug, you have to put errors, you have to check all the different inputs. So that is how to approach programming. So don't worry if you are getting some code wrong. Okay. Which platform is best for practicing Python? You can use whatever you want. Python is a language. To write the Python, you can use Notepad, anything. Just you need a compiler. Compiler is when it actually puts together the program and the other things. So I use VS Code. Many people use Spider. Some people use, Jupyter notebooks. It doesn't matter. Okay, as I said, programming is a way of thinking. Don't get worried about the box that it comes in, right? Be more worried about the logic or the way to do it. Can I code in phone? Yeah, Google Colab, sure, anything is fine. Okay, it's all the same. Your program is not going to change whether you use VS Code or Spider or any of them. It's whatever you are comfortable with, you can write in that, right? It's like asking which color pen is best for taking notes. As long as you're taking notes, it's fine. It's about the content that matters. Can I code in phone as I don't have access to computer or laptop? Okay, coding in phone, I'm not really sure how to do that. I don't know if it's possible, maybe through Google Colab or something. I would say that if you're part of a university or school, try to go to your library, maybe they might have computers available, or try to borrow it from your friend, because finally you do need a system for getting this done. That would be better. So try to access somewhere where you can have a computer just to practice your programs. Right? Logic you can do by hand, but again, as I said, you have to run the program, you have to find the error, you have to debug it. You need a thing. I'm not sure about programming on phone. I have never encountered it.
Madam, there are apps on which you can download and work with the basic Python program.
Okay, that's great. So maybe you can put it in the chat. I can see that some people have put on the chat. That's great. This is why we have such sessions, right? Because some things which I don't know, you guys know, and this will do. Please refer any Python software for coding. Okay, first of all, what are you asking? Right? Python is a programming language. So what do you mean by Python software? You have to be clear about these things, right? It might seem that it's very theoretical. Python is a language. I can write Python in, I have to write the Python program in some text editor or IDE or something, right? So those kinds of things are there. Then I have to compile it. Compiling is done through the language. I can even write on my terminal. Okay. So for example, if I just take my terminal and I put, you can see my screen, right? Then, if I give 3 plus 5, for example, this gives this. So Python does not depend on, Python is not like, don't ask question like what is a Python software. As I said, try to have it in a way that, what was I saying? Yeah, again, the question is like which pen is good or which notebook is good. As long as you're writing notes, it's fine. Uh, any textbook for Python? So I'll get to the assignment question. Any textbook for Python? I have never used any textbook for Python. Whenever I learned Python, it was through things. As I said, I don't really believe in reading textbooks for coding. It is useful. You should know some basic computer science. So I learned C++ like formally in school, so that helped me. I don't know if you're doing it by mistake or not, but please don't mute me. So yeah, as I was saying, I learned Python. So by doing programs, I just took up some programs I needed and I tried doing it in Python, which I had already solved in C++. So that was what I did. So I don't know any books for Python. Maybe it's there in the lecture notes. So shall we go back? Because I think if I continue, this is going kind of long. So let's go back to the thing and we can answer some more questions at the end. Okay. I don't know any textbooks. I'm sorry. I think the best way to learn programming is not to read textbooks. It's just take programs you're interested in, right? Try to take a few now handful of programs, attend classes like this, attend your lectures, and whenever you see a program, don't just watch the person solve it. Sit down and solve it yourself. Okay, let's go back to the lecture.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
okay, so that we can finish off, I'll answer. So again, so let's so as I said, till now we have discussed what is programming and how programming goes in. What programming and what was I saying? Data structures, algorithms. These are the different pieces that we require to actually give instructions to a computer. But as I said, to give the instructions, we require some language to communicate to the computer, and this is where programming languages come in. So already we have discussed a few of them. We have, of course, Python, which is what we'll be discussing. We have C++, there's Java, C Sharp, Ruby, JavaScript, all of these different things are there. In this course, of course, we'll be focusing on Python. But as I said before, once you have the logic, learning another language is really. Guys, please don't mute me. Please don't mute me. Okay, I'm trying to teach the class. Okay, don't mute me. I'll find the setting and change it, but please don't mute me. So as I said, we'll be going through Python in this class, but yeah, there are many other languages. the main thing for you, I want you to develop is the programming logic. And programming logic is independent of language. No matter what language you do, the way of thinking or the algorithmic thinking is not depending on which language you do. Language is just the grammar or the syntax in which you're writing. Okay. So this is about Python. It's a high level general purpose programming language. The reason that people, so many people use Python, and the reason that Python, I would say, even though Python was not the first language I learned, I would say it's a very good language to be your first language that you learn, is because it emphasizes code readability. Other languages have a lot of syntax, whereas Python programs, they look pretty simple and you're able to understand them clearly even if you don't have much programming background. So in that sense, you can focus really on the logic aspect of it rather than memorizing how to write a program, which is also important again. But I'm saying as you start out, I would like that the focus be on more of your programming aspect and not the language aspect. Okay. So this is a slide that I found from Guido van Rossum. He is the person who invented Python. So basically, have your cake and eat it too. It gives you readable code, and life is better without braces. Those of you who use C or C++ know that in C++, we have a lot of braces or brackets that are required. Those are not required in Python. And that's one of the reasons why Python, apart from other things. So yeah. Okay, so this is the video I put. It's about a very short summary of Python. You can watch it when you have time. Wait, sorry. Yeah, I'm not putting it now. So as I said, before we go to the class, I'm an astrophysicist. I do research on stars which are towards the end of their life, called white dwarfs and neutron stars. And I use programming almost, not even almost, every day when I do my research, right? So where do I use code? I do numerical calculations when analytical solutions are not possible or not available. So there are certain differential equations or mathematical processes that I cannot solve by hand because it becomes too complicated. In that case, I do need to use Python, right? Or some other programming language. I have, as an astrophysicist, we have data which comes from various telescopes and observations, and we need to process and reduce the data because the data will not be, stored in a way, in a very, it'll be stored in a very efficient way, right? We have to actually extract the information from the data, and for that we use various kinds of code, including Python. Another thing is that we use Python to visualize our results through graphs, plotting tools, and so on. So this is where I use programming, where I use Python specifically. I use almost exclusively Python in my research. I use a little bit of Fortran and other things, but primarily 90% I use Python. Another thing about Python, which is a very good aspect of Python, I would say, which I didn't mention in the slides, is that Python is an open source language. Open source means that it's free, right? All of you can access Python. You don't have to pay for it. Something like MATLAB or Mathematica, you need to pay for it or you need to have a license for it, then only you can access it. Python is not like that. And you will see this as you go along, but along with Python, you can also have many different Python libraries, which are the specialized parts of Python, which is made by the community for certain aspects. For mute me. Don't mute me. Okay. So, for example, astrophysicists have put in. Hello?
I'm just saying you should change the settings, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how. I have taken this kind of class before. This has never happened. I'll change the setting after the class. I have to check how to do it. But yeah, we are all adults here, I think. So I don't think I need to tell you guys again. Okay,
Yes.
so yeah, so I think so as I was saying, one very big advantage of Python, and you will be using some of these libraries, is that there are these specialized functions which have been, or functions or packages which have been written by different people, and they've made it available to the community. So this is something called open source language. So for example, there's this package called AstroPy, and in AstroPy, there are a lot of different astrophysical functions. So instead of me figuring out how to do an astrophysical function, someone has already defined a function for it. I just have to call it from that library. Similarly, there are libraries for almost every aspect. So someone was talking about machine learning before. There is a machine learning package. It's called scikit-learn. There is, there's also simpler things like NumPy, SciPy for dealing with, arrays, matrices. Plotting has its own package. So that's one other aspect of Python, which is very useful, is that it's a very community driven language. So usually when you're encountering a problem, you will find that many other people have encountered that problem, and some of them have already given some specialized code to deal with that problem. Okay. So yeah, in all aspects, I would say that if you're starting off with programming, Python is an excellent place to start. Of course, that shouldn't be your only place. Later, you will find that there are places where C is more efficient, Fortran is more efficient. And if you have the programming background, you can really pick these up easily. Okay. Fine. So that's about this. So let's quickly go through the main thing that you did in the class, which is that this week you are looking at a program to find the GCD. The GCD is the greatest common divisor, which is the largest number that divides two numbers m and n, right? So you did this a couple of different ways in the class. The very first way was that you did it in a brute force way, right? You said that, okay, let me find all the factors of m, then let me find all the factors of n, and I'm going to check which are common, right? So you can see that this is the function. So again, if you've never seen a Python code before, this is basically defining a function. This is the name of the function which is taking in two inputs, m and n. Okay, you can see that there are all these aspects with braces, right? So these are basically lists. FM, FN, and CF are basically lists. Okay, lists are collections of numbers. And again, the aspect which I told you a few slides ago, data structures, it's part of the code, right? A part of the course name is data structures. So when you write a program, it goes hand in hand that you'll have to use different data structures to deal with different parts of the program. Okay, so this is how you think about it. So what has this program actually done? Let's break it down. Right. If you don't have a question, please mute yourself. If you have a question, please stop me. No problem. But okay. So as I said, data structures, you have, so here itself, they are actually, you're using multiple data structures. You're using lists, which are these FM, FN, and CF. You're using MN, which are just numbers or integers. And then you're doing this. So do you all understand what's happening here? So let's just try to break it down. So there are three loops. Okay, so before that, let's look at this. This is something called a for loop. Again, those of you who have already done programming, this is quite basic to you. So I apologize. The first class. So let's just go through the basics a little bit. So this is how a for loop group looks, right? This is something, by the way, this is something called a flow chart. If you've not encountered it before, it's something where it doesn't depend on any programming language. So the same flowchart applies to Python, C++, Java, whatever you have. This is just a diagram that shows you the logic of the program. Okay. Later, you have to apply this logic into a program, means you have to use their exact syntax. So you can see that in a for loop, what we do is we actually start off with some starting condition. You initialize the variables, which means you give some value to the variable. So where is that happening? Here you can see that we are giving I, which is some variable I. A variable is some quantity which can store values. So I is given a value between the range 1 to m plus 1. So one important thing here is that, again, because many of you may be new to Python, you can see my screen, right? Okay. So I'm just going to show you on the side what range means. Sorry. Okay. Mm. Okay, so you can see that A is now a list which takes values between 1 and 5. And for example, the first value of A, which I access as A of 0, is 1. The second value will be, sorry, 2, and so on. And it will only take values up to 4. Okay, so the way that it's done is that the last value is only considered, it's not considered, just the value before that. So if I have 1 comma 5, then I will take the values 1, 2, 3, 4. It won't consider 5 because the counting starts from 0. This is all you need to remember. Okay, again, these are things that when you're doing the program, you will become used to it. But basically, if I initialize I like this, that means I takes the values 1, 2, 3, 4. If m is 5, so basically that's why I have to give m plus 1, because I want m to be included, because I want to finally find the values of m, right? I want to find the factors of m. Now, does anyone know what this statement means? M percentage sign I is equal to 0.
Yes, madam. It
So
returns that
it's
reminder.
basically modulus.
To find the
Modulus.
remainder.
Okay, good.
And
So
remember
here,
when you
the way that you think about it is it's the reminder, right?
Yeah.
The remainder. So if the remainder is 0, what does that mean? Mathematically, it means that it's a factor. So only if the remainder is 0, then only I'm adding it to the list. So append is just a word for add. Okay. So this is how you think about it. So here they have actually gone through 1 to m, all the numbers, and checked which one. So that gives me the idea of which are the factors. Similarly, I do the same process for n. Okay, then what is the final goal? I want to find the common factor which divides them, right? So that's why I look for f in fm, and if the same f is in fm and also in fn, then I add it to a completely other list called cf. Okay, and then I'm returning cf of minus 1. Does anyone know what this cf of minus 1 is meaning here?
Most
Like
rightest value
last
of
right
CF.
last value.
Yeah,
Rightmost
The
element
right
of
last
CF.
value. The
yeah,
right
it
last
gives
value.
exactly. It gives the last value of the list. So let's try again with our values. So let me just clear this first because it's confusing. So again, if you look at my screen, I now give a of minus 1. You can see that 5 is returned, and 5 is the last value in the list. Similarly, if I give a of 0, I get 1. 1 is the first value of the list. So remember that counting array or list in Python starts with 0. Okay, it doesn't start with 1. Don't make that mistake. If I give a of minus 2, what will happen? Does anyone know?
4.
4.
4 will
4.
come. So you can use so basically if I give positive values, I am going this way from left to right in the list. If I give negative values, I'm essentially going from right to left in my list. Okay. Again, this is very useful when you have various things. So here, why was it important to have minus 1?
You are muted, ma'am.
Okay, I hope everyone's audible now.
You should
So I
change
was
the
saying,
settings.
yeah,
Now I should.
I have to find out how to do it, but I'll do that.
Open your settings. I will tell you how to mute.
Okay, wait.
So
Basically, you should not give the rights for us to mute you.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. Hello, Mike. Okay, I'm not able to find this now. I'll check it afterwards. Guys, please, let's just all behave, okay? Don't do this again. Okay, so as I was saying, what was I saying? Yeah, so as I was saying, the reason that we needed to use minus 1 is because we don't know in advance how many factors are going to be common, right? Because depending on m and n, there could be 5 factors in common, there could be only one factor in common, there can be so many things. So minus 1 just tells me return the last value, whatever it is. Okay, that's why we are using minus 1. So this is a very brute.
You are
Why am I
muted.
saying? Yeah, I unmuted. Please don't do this, right? Uh, why am I saying this is the brute force method? Because it's the first instinct you have, right? If you're solving a GCD problem on hand by paper, what will you do? You will write down, suppose I ask you to find the factors of 24 and 16 by hand. You'll sit and write 24 the factors, you'll write 16's factors, and then you'll check which is the most common and which is the highest one. So we are basically just giving our thought process to the computer. Okay. For that, we're using list and other things, but basically the idea is the same. So again, we've used a couple of interesting concepts here. One is the loop, where something keeps repeating until it is false, right? So you are initializing to some value, which means you're giving some initial value. After that, you're checking the condition. So here the condition is whether it is still in the range of m plus 1, right? Then after, if I is still in this range between 1 and m, then it continues to these statements, right? Okay. So then you update the value. So once you do for I is 1, you go to I is equal to 2. Then you repeat the process. I is equal to 3. You repeat the process until you reach I is equal to m. After I is equal to m, what happens? I takes the value m plus 1. At that point, your process is false and it comes out of the loop. It stops the loop. So this is what a for loop looks like. Okay. So loop is always used when you need to have repeated processes, right? So before I gave you this example of writing a statement 100 times, right? So I told you that you can do it, of course, by having just writing 100 print statements, but that's a waste of time. So instead of that, what you can do, you can put a for loop and let the loop run 100 times, and in 2 lines you'll be done with your problem. So again, you have to use the fact that you're using a program, right? You have to make use of that fact. So then the next thing was, okay, let's try to do this in a shorter way, right? Again, as I said, I don't want to check each list. Finally, I only need one value. I just need the greatest common divisor. I really don't need a list to store all the factors of m, all the factors of n, and all the common factors, right? Because remember, even though it looks very fast to us, this is still using some computational power. So one thing that you will notice is that, for small numbers, it doesn't matter. All these processes are going to give me almost the same time. But suppose I give you a 25-digit number and a 32-digit number, and I want you to find the common factors. So then this process is going to take so long, because it's going to go from I is equal to range of 1 to the end of that 25th digit number. Like it's going to go to 10 power 25, all the numbers in between, add them to the list. It's going to go from 1 to 10 power 32, that number. It's going to add all the numbers to a list. Then it's going to compare. It's going to take these huge lists that we have and it's going to compare each value. So that is going to take a huge amount of time. Okay. So I don't want so many lists to be involved. If in the end someone had asked me that I want to store the factors, then I can do this. But no one asked me that. They only asked me to find the GCD, right? So then what I'm doing is I'm just only looking for the common factor. So only one list is there. So already you can see the change. We went from 3 lists being involved in this problem to there being one list in this part. Okay. So you can already see how the okay, someone has sent how to do the mute thing. I'll do it after the class. Thanks a lot, guys. I was just checking the messages. Yeah, okay. Someone asked, what does append mean? Append just means that it's adding to the list. So initially you're initializing it as an empty list, and then you're adding things to the list if they satisfy the condition. So here the condition is it a factor of m? Is it a factor of n? And is it common? So depending on that, it's doing. So what I was saying is that in case you have huge numbers, 10 power 25, 10 power 33 order, then what actually happens is that you will have huge lists, right? Huge amounts of data, which you don't really need for your purpose. Append is a function in list. Exactly. Append is a function in list. So append is there. There are many other functions out there. Okay. So instead of having this huge amounts of data, there's 2 other lists which essentially I'm not using. I'm going to bring it down to only one list. So it's a shorter way where I'm just in one shot checking if m percentage I is 0 and n percentage I is 0, then I'm adding it. So I'm already in one shot checking for the common factor, right? So already my time has reduced. right? Already my data has reduced, my time has reduced. Again, if you're just doing for 24 and 16, and you can do this exercise, probably these two methods will give the same amount of time, few seconds or few, not even few seconds, right? Whereas the problem comes when you give 10 digit number, 12 digit number, 20 digit number, because those are the ones we want to do with the computer. 24 and 16 I can itself do in a few seconds, right? Why do I need the computer? The reason to use the computer is for those huge numbers. So that's why I should always check the thing. Yeah, okay. Return CF of -1. Yeah, I had shown this in the in my terminal, but basically you can see that it returns the last element of a list, right? If I have A to be a list, A of -1 gives me the last element of the list. Okay, so this is basically giving me, because I want the greatest common divisor. So that will give me the thing. Okay, good. Someone asked what is minimum of m comma n. Minimum of m comma n is what it actually
Ma'am,
signifies, minimum
ma'am,
value of m and n. Yeah.
why are you writing mean in for loop?
Okay, good point. So suppose I have two numbers. Let's continue with 16 and 24, right? So there is no shot that some number which is greater than 16 can be a factor of 16. Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That means that I don't need to check for the numbers which are bigger than 16. That is anyway not going to be a factor of 16, so it cannot be the common factor. Does this make
Yes,
sense?
right.
Right? So then instead of checking from 1 to 24, I can check from 1 to 16 only. Because beyond 16, anyway, it's not going to come in the common number. So I'm saving time like that. So that's another point, right? Very good that you noticed that. So here you can see that I was checking all the numbers. Let's put it as 24 and 16 because that's the example I'm using. Checking all the numbers from 1 to 24 first. Then I'm checking all the numbers from 1 to 16. Then I'm comparing them and putting another list. Yes?
Can you repeat it again?
Okay. So what is the idea of this program? Idea of the program is I want to find the common factor between two numbers. Let's call them 24. Let's call it 24 and 16. Okay. Fine. So
Okay.
common factor means it should come as a factor of both the numbers. It should be a factor of 6. Should be a factor of 16 also. It should be a factor of 24 also. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
There is no possibility for a number which is greater than 16 to be a factor of 16. You cannot have that, right? Factor means it should be smaller than 16. Maximum it can be 16.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is no use of me checking 17, 18, 19, 20, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's why
Yes, ma'am.
in this program, we are checking which is the minimum of both the numbers. And we'll only check up to that value. Because up to that value, I'll get the answer. Beyond that, if I check, I can check. But it's definitely not going to be common. There may be some factors for the larger number. But we don't just want the factors. We want the common factor.
Okay, ma'am. Understood.
Yes, yes.
Understood. So you can already see the difference between this program and the second program, right? First of all, we are not unnecessarily checking values. We have used our brain little bit. We've used our brain and said, okay, these numbers are definitely not the factor. Why should I waste my precious computational time to check for them? We know it can be eliminated. The other thing is, I know that I don't need FM, FN, these lists to be stored because computer memory is going to be used up to store these values, right? It's going to be, again, as I said, when you use 10 digit number, 12 digit number, if you're checking 700 million, something, 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 this is going to be a huge amount of data, which I don't need at all. So from 3 lists, I have brought the program to 1 list.
Hello.
So again, this is the efficiency. Okay. So do you see how the programming thinking should be done? You should not just think, okay, I need to solve the problem. You should think, how can I solve the problem such that it is actually useful that I'm putting in the lab computer? Again, just think of the example of writing hello 100 times. Should I really sit and write hello 100 times or shall I just put a for loop which will do it for me?
For loop is better.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, okay, some people still can't understand about minimum. Let me think
Excuse
of
me.
another way. to say. Okay. Yeah, please.
Yeah, ma'am, I would like you to explain the longer way, basically. Can you explain the syntax of the whole program once again? Because
Sure.
the loops we can understand, but the syntax is a little bit different in each language.
Okay, sure. So, okay, so anyone who's not familiar, syntax is basically the way of writing the program. So let's just break it down step by step. Okay, so there are three loops. First, let's understand the logic. I'll come to minimum again because people are asking. I think once I explain this, you will understand that also. There are three loops. Uh, uh, Please note there's some hello, there's some
Hello.
disturbance. Okay, I'm just muting you because there was some disturbance. Okay, so there are three loops. Okay, three of the loops are doing these things.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, yes, please tell me.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, yeah, I'm okay. Okay, let me just finish answering this and then you can ask maybe. So there are three loops. The brute force way is I'm going to write all the factors of 24. I'm going to write all the factors of 16.
How to provide a study material of a Python?
Okay, let's take this later. Okay, because I'm explaining the program right now. I'll talk about this later. Okay, is that fine? Okay, so you have all the three loops. Okay, the first loop is all the factors of m, second loop is all the factors of n, and the third loop is the common factors. Okay, so factors m, factors n, common factors. When you're having two braces like this, that means you're initializing an empty list. A list is a collection of numbers. Okay, so that is the first part of the syntax. When I give definition, this is defining a function. GCD is the name of the function. These are the inputs that go into the function, and then I have this colon, and then everything inside that is the function. Whenever you define a function, at the end you have a return statement. After running the function gives you the return statement. It's basically the output. Okay, so this is how you think about a function. Now, for loop, as I said, you start with some condition, you initialize it, check the condition, then you keep running it until that condition is false. Here the condition is whether I lies in the range 1 comma m plus 1. Now, in Python, if you can see my screen, if I give a is equal to range of 1 comma 5 for I.
Hello.
Ma'am, you are actually muted.
Okay, can you see my screen now? So can you see this last part which I've highlighted?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on, madam. Hold
Okay.
on. Whoever doing this muted thing, you are acting like an idiot. Just acting like an idiot. She is an astrophysicist. Show some respect. You are not a 12-year-old boy.
No, I don't think that anyone is doing, madam. Some problem is there. We are not that much,
Okay,
immature.
I'll check. I'll check it. I'll check it after the class. I'll check all the settings. I don't want to change any time in the class. I'll check it. Please just alert me if it's muted. It's fine. Okay, so can you see the highlighted part on my screen? So basically, I have this for I in range length of A, print A of I. So basically, I've initialized A to be between range of 1 to 5, and now I want to see what are the values of A, right? So you can see that A of 0 is 1, A of 1 is 2, A of 2 is 3, A of 3 is 4. So it only takes up to 4. Okay, whenever you give range in Python, it doesn't consider the last value. It only considers before the last value. So it considers 1, 2, 3, 4 and not 5. Okay, is this clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that's why when I
Yes, ma'am.
define this loop, I have to give, sorry, that's why when I define this loop, I have to give m plus 1 because I want m to be included. I want 24 also to be checked. I have to give n plus 1 because I want n also to be checked. So that is what this means. It means that I want I to take all the values from 1 to m. Okay, similarly, I want I to take all the values between 1 to n. After it takes the values, what am I checking? I'm checking if it's a factor. Factor means it divides it exactly with remainder 0, right? So that's why this statement comes if m percentage I equal to 0. Equal to means that you're checking whether something is equal or not. Remember before I told you about true and false statements. So if statement means only if this condition is true, it will go to the next line. Otherwise, it will not go to the next line. So suppose let's take 6. Okay, a small number. So if it is 6, let's take m is equal to 6. So what all values I will take? I will take values from range 1 to m plus 1, right? Which means it will take the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 because this will be 7. Okay, so now first I'm going to check 6 mod 1. Is it 0? 6 is divided by 1 with remainder 0. Yes. So I'm going to add 1 to the list. Next, 6 mod 2 is equal to 0. Is 6 divisible by 2 exactly? Yes. So I'll add 2 to the list. Next, 6 mod 3 is equal to 0. Is 6 divisible by 3 exactly? Yes. It'll add 3 to the list. Now 6 mod 4 is equal to 0. This statement is false. 6 mod 4 is not 0. The remainder is not 0 in that case. So what actually happens? It does not add it to the list. It goes back to the loop and repeats the process. The next number is 5. 6 mod 5 is 0. Again, the statement is false. It does not add to the list. Goes back to the beginning. 6 mod 6 is obviously 0. Adds to the list. So I have 1, 2, 3 and 6 in the list. Is this clear to everybody? This is a syntax. Since someone asked to explain, I'm explaining it. I hope this is clear. The same idea is given in the second loop. So suppose it's 24 and 16. It will do all this process for 24, do all this process for 16. In the third step,
Ma'am,
if
you are in mute.
if some number is there in both the lists because they want to find the common factor and then finding the greatest. So the idea is that this is one way of doing it. You will get the result, but we can do it in much better ways. And that's why we actually went to this part, right? Where we are not checking all the numbers. We are only checking up to the minimum. Because again, if I have 24 and 16, I know the common factor cannot be greater than 16. So why should I check 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24? It's a waste of time. So that's why I'm only checking up to the minimum. Again, plus 1 is because of the range issue, right? Range only checks up to the number minus 1. So I have to always give plus 1 to offset that. Then I'm in one step itself, instead of storing everything in 3 lists, taking up so much of data space, I'm going to in one step check if m mod I is equal to 0 and n mod I is equal to 0. So do you guys know about the difference between and or statements?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
No.
ma'am.
So for anyone who
Yes,
doesn't
ma'am.
know, an
Yes,
and
ma'am.
statement is only true
No,
if
ma'am.
both of them. Okay. Someone doesn't know. So and means both parts of the statement should be true. Then only it's true. Or means if any of them are true, it's true. This is the difference. So here,
Thank you.
okay, here if you have m to be a fact, so what does this mean? I is a factor of m. This means I is a factor of n. Only if I is a factor of m and I is a factor of n, it will append. If I is a factor of m but this is false, it will not do it. If this is true and this is false, it's not, the overall statement is not true. Okay, do you understand? I need both half to be true, then only it will do. That's why I'm using and. If for me it's only mattering if one of them is true, I'll use or. Okay? Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes.
we have already, I think we should move to the questions, but let's just finish this because this is all in your lecture notes actually. I also found these like screenshots from the lecture notes. So try going through it in some detail. I would say that try taking up some Python compiler online or in your phone or whatever and put this together and see what happens. See which is faster. Try putting some very big number and seeing which is faster. That will actually give you a feel for it. Okay. So this was
Okay,
two
ma'am.
ways. Then another way is that, okay, again another question comes, which is that I don't need to store all the factors in a list at all. I just need the greatest number. So why should I store it in a list? Again, I can make it even more efficient. I can just store the latest value into a variable. So this is just a variable. This is a number, right? This is a integer, and then just return that integer. That way I'm not storing all the factors. Suppose there are 20 common factors. In this case, CF would be a list with 20 numbers. In this case, MRCF is always just one number. So you can see that slowly we are changing our thinking. First we had three lists and we are storing all the values. Then we realized that we don't need to check all the values. We only need to check up to the minimum, and we only need to store the common factors. Now we are realizing that we don't even need to store all the common factors. We only need to store the latest value. Okay. And yeah, then there are some other ways. Maybe I'll not go through all of them in detail. I would say that you guys try it out. If you have any doubt, let me know, as I said, because I want to try to solve the problems with you. That's more important. Okay. So again, these three methods, just understand. One is we use three lists. Then we realize that we don't have to check all the things. And we use only one list. Then without using any list, we are able to do it. So three of these are giving the same idea, the same problem, same solution, but in different efficiencies, right? After that, this is by scanning backwards. So this uses something called a while loop. So this is a for loop. As I said, it keeps increasing. There is an update to the number and it keeps checking the condition. Whereas in a while loop, this is what a while loop looks like. There's a condition. As long as the condition is true, it keeps running the loop. Okay. So again, these things you will get to know when you run the program. So you can see that here you are decreasing I by 1. So this is actually going from the back of the list, right? Instead of going from the start of the list, it's going from the back of the list. What is the advantage of going from the back of the list is that you're already starting with the largest values. So when we go from the start of the list, we are always starting with the smallest values and then going all the way to the end. When we start from the back of the list, we are starting from the largest value. So the first value we get itself, we can stop. MRCF means what? It's just a name of a variable. You can name it whatever we want. I think here it's common factor. I don't know why MR is used actually, but yeah, you can use whatever it wants. You can call it Z or X. Most recent common. Okay, thank you.
Recent
Yeah, I
common
didn't.
factor.
Yeah, okay,
More
great.
recent common word.
Okay. Great. I didn't realize that. But it's name. It's a name. You can call it whatever you want also. Just understand the logic. So here you can see that we are going from the back. As I said, when we go from the back, the first value we get itself will be the greatest value. We don't have to go through the entire list. So there are different ways. This is a very simple program where we are just finding the common factor. But even that, you can see that already there are four methods of doing. And even beyond that, you saw something called Euclid's algorithm. I'm not going through this now because I want to go to the questions. But again, all the notes, professor has made very nice notes. Please go through it. And this is a different way of doing it. And finally, you're finding some efficient way to do it where the whole thing comes down to a very small amount of steps. Okay. So no lists and less number of steps. That is our eventual goal. Okay. So
Hello, ma'am.
let's solve some questions. Before that, okay, someone has a question in the chat and then someone had also raised their hand. Give me a second. What is the most efficient ways to implement and optimize data structures like lists, stacks, and queues in Python? That is a very general question. It does not have a direct answer because it depends on the problem. Depending on each problem, you'll have to optimize in different ways. Will you share this?
Ma'am, you are muted.
Yeah. So I will be sharing the PPT. I'll give the details at the end. Someone had a question. Can you please
Yes,
ask?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I have a question. I have a doubt about Euclid's algorithm. Why GCD of m and n is equal to the GCD of smaller number and the remainder? I don't get it. The idea of smaller number and the remainder.
Okay. So I think this was there in your one sec. I saw it in your notes. So you have access to the PDFs, right? It's there on the NPTEL page. Okay. So
Yes.
just go there. I think the explanation is there. So I'm just going to directly that explanation itself. This one, right? This is the one you're asking.
Yes.
So you understand this step. M is equal to Qn plus R because we are not considering Q to be a factor of M. So it is, oh sorry, N does not divide M. So M is Qn plus R. Okay. 24 and 16, for example, 24 is 16 into something plus something, right? 16 into 1 plus 8. So now assume that D is the factor which divides both M and N. Then I can write M as some AD and N as some BD. So then I can write it like this, right? This step is
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
So now take this term to the other side. Then what happens? You have D into A minus QB, right?
Yes.
A minus QB define as C. So then R is also divisible by D, right?
Actually, I have a doubt in previous slide.
So wait, did you
So
understand this?
yeah, I already got it.
Okay, then previous slide is even more simpler, right?
Uh,
This one. This one. Is this the one you have doubt in?
that one and the
Which
last
one?
point.
This one. So the point is, if D is the greatest common divisor of M and N, it's also the greatest common divisor of N and M minus N.
I
It's the
get
same
it.
logic, right? M minus N is AD minus BD. A minus B is just some number. So D divides M minus N also. Correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is the point. So what is the advantages? Instead of calculating 24 and 16, I can now calculate 16 and 8. Then immediately I get the answer to be 8. It becomes much faster. That's the idea. Okay. So I'm not going through Euclid's algorithm because I want to actually get to the problems that we had for today. We have like 40 minutes. So let's try to do that. If you have any doubts, please stop me. Other things that you need to do. Do you need to declare
Hello, ma'am. How to
types?
provide a study material in a uh,
Yeah,
NPTEL
I'll give you the
Python?
links to the links to the PPT. I think you're asking about my PPT and video lecture. I'll give you the links at the end. I had already discussed at the beginning of the class. The other professor's lectures I accessed from the page yesterday. It's already available on the website. Okay?
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Which application, ma'am? Which application?
I don't understand
Hello.
which application means which on
Uh,
your NPTEL
mail,
page,
mail,
right? Your
mail.
NPTEL page.
NPTEL page. How to provide? Uh,
Okay, I'll give you,
mail.
I'll tell you in detail at the end. Okay, let's do the questions first.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So, as I said in the beginning, the way that this works and the way I have taken in my class is I will give you the question. I'll give you a few minutes to solve the question, and I want you guys to answer in the chat. Okay. I can just tell you the answer, but that is, I want you to work on it. Okay. So, we have a few questions. Let's try to do it one by one. This is the first question. So, what does h of some number, so h is a function, h of some number return for the following function definition? So, this is how if the function is defined. Okay. So, what is h of this number return? So, it gives you some value. So, try solving this and give the answer in the chat. I'll give you maybe 6 minutes, should not take more than that. So just figure out what is this problem doing or what is this function doing, right? Once you figure that out, you can easily give the answer. Okay, someone has already answered. Someone has already answered 10. I'll wait for a few minutes. Okay, people are answering good. I'll wait for few more minutes in case more people are working out. So try to do the figure out what the function does first, and then we'll see the answer. Yeah, don't use ChatGPT. If you use ChatGPT will get smarter. And then finally, you know, we are only the ones who lose out. Okay, good. A lot of you have said 10. That's good. I'll wait for 1 more minute since I said till 4:25 and so someone, okay, any of you who have given the answer, please tell me the logic or what this program is doing. Just in one line, one of you can tell or
Yeah, it returns the value of n and how many times the d cubes. First time it will come 1, then it will be 1 cube. So something like this. So till it goes.
So what does that mean exactly? Like, okay, understood. Yeah, you're just telling what you see on the screen, which is that d cube is coming and n is increasing. But mathematically, what is it trying to do? It's trying to find some quantity, right, relating to the cube. So yeah, someone said like something like the cube root, right? Something related to cube root it's trying to find. It's basically trying to find how many steps to get to the cube, right?
Yeah.
If you think about, yeah. So I think many of
Yes.
you have got it. So okay, not cube, sorry. What was I saying? This is into 3. Yeah. So yeah. So
Multiplying
this
by
is
3 10 times.
yeah, 310 exactly. So basically so this is the answer. I'm going to the answer. So here you can see that the function computes the smallest power of 3, which is bigger than x. So not cube, 3 to the power. That's what I should have said. So effectively, it computes the number of digits in the base 3 representation of x. So let's think about what's happening again. So 27993. Okay, let's put a smaller number first. Or yeah, let's put this itself. 27993 is put into the thing. So first of all, dn is initialized as 1 and 0. So first of all, the answer is 10. Many of you got it. That's very good. So now while d is less than or equal to x, you are multiplying d by 3, right? So first 1 becomes 3. Then in the next pass, 3 becomes 9, right? 3 into 3. Then what happens? 9 becomes 27, right? 9
Yeah.
into 3. So because I said cube by mistake,
21
I meant 3 into
to the power 10.
yeah, 3 to the
Yeah.
power, not something to the power 3. I mixed it up. But yeah, essentially every time it's multiplying by 3. So first you have 3, then you have 3 into, so first you have 1, which is 3 power 0. Then you have 3 into 3. Then you have 3 into 3 into 3, and so on. So you keep continuing until
3 square, 3 cube, like
exactly 3 cube, 3 power 4. You
4,
keep
3 power 5.
continuing until you reach this value, right? You won't reach exactly this value. I don't think this is a power of
Yes,
3.
ma'am.
I'm not sure.
Yes,
So you
Yeah,
reach
the
the
exact
value
value.
which is just below this, right?
yes, ma'am.
That is the point that you get, which is 3 power 10. So what is 3 power 10? Let's check. So 3
59049.
59049. Whereas 3 power 11 is 3 power 11 is 170.
Ma'am, you are in mute.
Ma'am, you were muted again.
Yeah, I was just saying that see 3 power 10. Okay, let me just.
Ma'am, calculator will be available in class or not?
In the exam, I'm not sure. I don't think you will get anything that requires too much of a calculation. But yeah, you can see that 3 power 10 is 59049, 3 power 11 is 177147. So in that
Yes.
sense, this is the number that falls, it doesn't go to 11 because the value is violated. Okay, that is what happens. Okay, so that's why it goes. So n is basically counting the number of steps or the power, right? So that's why.
Kindly explain the code again, please.
Okay, I'll explain it again. So first of all, I said cube by mistake before. What I meant was 3 to the power. So first of all, what does this function do? We are starting with two values, d and n. And d and n are 1 and 0. We are initializing it to 1 and 0. Then, while the value of d is less than x, which is x is what we are passing through, we are multiplying d by 3 and we are increasing n by 1. Okay. So just tell me after the first time of the loop, what will d and n become? Whoever asked, please tell me what will become. Just think about it. From 1 and 0 will become
3 and 1.
will become 3 and 1, right? From 1 and 0, it has now become 3 and 1. Okay. Essentially, d has become 3 times d. So 3 into 1, right? So 3. And n has become 0 plus 1, which is 1. So now it's become 3 and 1. Okay. Now, it will check. Now it goes back. Remember, loop means it goes back. It checks the condition. Is 3 less than 27993? Yes, it is less than 27993. So it again goes. Now 3 and 1 becomes what? Becomes 3 times 3,
9
which is
and 2.
2.
9
So you
and
can see
2.
the pattern. So you can see the pattern, right? 3 and 1,
Yeah.
9 and 2. Every time d gets increased by 3, I mean multiplied by 3, which means you're increasing the power of 3, whereas n
N will be
increases by 1.
incremented.
So
Yeah.
n kind of gives you the power, like the exponent value, whereas d gives you the actual value of the 3 power n, right? So what you're checking is what is the biggest power of 3, I mean, which is smaller than x, right? The smallest, yeah, basically. I think this is written wrong. Biggest power of 3 smaller than x. Yeah, it should be wrong. I'll change it before I share the slides. So biggest power of 3 smaller than x. So that's why when we check, you found that 3 power 10 was 59049, which is smaller than this. Whereas 3 power 11 is 177147, which is bigger than this. So it will not go to 3 power 11. At that point, this loop will be violated. It will just return the value. Is this clear? I think this is clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Ma'am, for this
Yes,
question, the
ma'am,
answer
clear.
is 9.
No, the answer is 10. Because, why? Because I can understand the confusion, but the reason it's 10 is because when it reaches this value, it already has become 10. Okay, it becomes 59049 comma 10. You can try writing it down. Okay, then it doesn't increase again. So it doesn't become 11, but it becomes 10 and it returns that value. Okay, try writing it down, then you'll get it. You try writing down 3192 like that, you try writing down, you will get it. Okay. Okay.
Understood.
Okay. Let's go to the next question so that we can finish. So this is the next question. Again, as I said, I'll give you some time. I'll give you 5 minutes. Try to solve this question. So question is, what is g of 60 minus g of 48 given the definition of g below? So this is the definition of g. So I'll just check the chat. Okay, I can see someone has said 2. Others also please answer. Let's get few answers and then we can see the solution. Also, this is very much related to something that we were discussing. So, just look at the loop and the structure of the loop and think about what we did before. It's not directly related, but it's very much related to some of the things that we were doing before. Okay, someone has said 10. I can see many people saying 2, some people saying 0, some people saying 10. So I'll wait for a few more minutes in case someone else having any answers. Okay, 6. Okay, I can see many people saying 2, but there are other answers also. Okay, can anyone tell me? Okay, since we have many answers, I can see that. Huh.
Ma'am, 0.
Okay, 0.
Hey,
Okay,
1,
we'll
1.
1, 1, 0, 2, 7. I can see many answers. So someone, okay, can any one of you then put the logic in the answer? Like what is the logic behind how you're getting whatever answer it is? I'm not saying any answer is correct. However, you got your answer, what is the logic? Any one of you put the logic in these comments or in the chat, or you can unmute.
Ma'am should find the factors of 60 and 48 first, and we should minus the total factors what we have.
Yes. So exactly. So we realize that this is something to do with factors, right? Remember that when we were discussing the GCD also, we were doing such kind of statements. N mod I is equal to 0. When n mod I is equal to 0, that means that we are having a factor of the number. Only a factor will give remainder 0, right? And here you can see that we are only considering factors between the range of 2 and n, which means n is not included, right? Because n, when you say range up to n, that means it will only go count up to n minus 1. That's because every number has 1 and itself as a factor, so you're checking for all the other factors of the number. Okay, so you're basically checking for the factors, and then you're not actually working with the factors. So what is s is equal to s plus 1? You're actually taking a count of the factors. Instead of actually looking for the factor itself, you're taking the count of the factor, right? Got it? So let's go to the answer, because I think many of you have got it, some of you have not got it. But the answer is basically g of n counts the number of factors of n excluding 1 and n. For 60, you can try this. So I
Excuse
think
me.
it's, yeah.
Uh, does the type of bracket make any difference in taking the range?
No.
Here we have
What do you
taken
mean?
the open bracket. If we take the square bracket, the range made.
Oh, you mean like maths?
It's
No,
just syntax, na?
That's not there in Python. It's only these kinds of brackets. If you use square brackets, it will give you a syntax error. That is basically your open set and closed set in maths, right? That's not actually applicable here. So range always does not count the last number. If you want to count the last number, you have to give n plus 1. Okay. So let's see how many factors 60 has. So it has 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 12 and 5. What else? 10 and 6. 10 and 6, 12 and 1 more is there, right? 15 and 4, right? So there are 5 pairs of numbers.
Excuse me.
There is a formula for that.
I just got logged out.
Okay. Yeah.
I just got logged out. I was asking that the type of bracket, does it make any difference?
No, that's what I was saying. It does not. In range, you can only give the open brackets. And if you use any other brackets, Python will give you an error. So it's not the mathematics thing. I know what you're thinking about, the open and closed sets. Those are not applicable here. So if you want range to be applicable, you have to give n plus 1. If you want n to be counted. Does that make sense? Okay. So as I was saying, 60 has 10 factors. You can actually count it out. 48 has 2 and 24, 12 and 4, 6 and 8, and 3 and 16, right? So four factors. So that's 8. 4 pairs of factors. So that's 8. So 10 minus 8 is 2. So that's how you get 2. So does this make sense to everyone? 60 has 10 factors, 48 has 8 factors, so that's why it's 2.
Yes, ma'am.
But ma'am, we are updating the value.
Type the same code in the
Hello? Sorry?
There is any formula to find the how many factors are there?
No, that's why we need computer programs for it, right? If there was a formula, we wouldn't be able to. See, factoring is a very
We have
important
a
thing.
formula, madam. We have
What
a
is the
formula.
formula?
The formula
Okay,
is you write any number in the basic product of the prime numbers.
yeah. So that is like writing down all the factors, right? So you can sit down and
You're
write.
not. You don't need to write, madam. You just write 60 as 5 into 3 into 2 square.
Uh,
And
okay.
multiply all the powers by adding 1.
Okay.
So let us say here powers are 1, 1, 2, right? So 1 plus 1 into 1 plus 1 into 2 plus 1. 12.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know that. Okay, interesting. So yeah, so there is apparently a formula, but yeah, if you can't, you can write it down also. So point is that this counts the number of factors in this. If we execute the same code in Python, it returns 1 and 1 and it is 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. I'm sure that's not true. Please check if you have made any mistake in any of the steps. Okay? Because this is where you might have missed something. So please check it once. Okay, does everyone understand this question? It's fine, right? So we were just talking about factors. So this is a very relevant question. So that's why I gave.
I have one doubt.
Yeah, please continue.
Here actually the range 2 comma n we have to take.
Sorry. Hello? Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Yeah. Please continue.
Here n should be less than 1.
Maybe some issue on my internet. So I'm not able to continue it. Someone kicked me out of the meeting. Okay. I think some issue is there. Let me change the setting.
Actually, the person asked that we should take the range less than 1, the starting one, 2 to. I think he was asking.
Okay, someone keeps muting. I'm going to change the setting. I think someone
Yeah,
had
madam,
said
for
already
sure.
how to do. So I should stop presentation from everyone, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, this is like I'm taking my time to do this. And your friends are also asking questions. Don't do this. Okay, anyway, who was asking question?
Ma'am, can you please explain me the previous question once again?
Okay. Okay, so this question, right? So here they are just
Yes,
counting
ma'am.
the number of factors and then.
No, ma'am. Previous.
First
Okay,
one.
okay. Okay.
In this
Before going.
n should be like 59, right? N will be.
No, n is 60. But n is 60 only. But it will it will consider the number till 59.
Okay. So for
Okay.
calculation up to 59 it will consider, right?
Yes. So that's why the number of factors of n excluding 1 and n.
Okay.
Okay. Then someone else had asked something. Before I go to the previous question again.
So
Excuse me.
actually
Why we
the
are using
final
s
answer
is
is
equal to s plus 1?
Okay, one at a time. What is the question?
Why we are using s is equal to s plus 1, ma'am?
We
counting
are
the factors.
we are increasing the count. Every time there is a new
It
factor.
will store the s is equals to s plus 1 in s again. That's why we are using it. Incrementing actually.
Exactly. Okay. So now let me just go to the previous question very quickly and
Excuse
very
me,
quick.
ma'am.
Madam, one
Can I
final
answer?
thing. In this, the answer would be 12 minus 10, right?
No, it will be 10 minus 8 because we are not
No.
considering.
That's wrong, madam. Okay. You're not
We are not,
considering 1.
yeah, we are not considering 1 and n. If you let me finish, we are not considering 1 and n. So that's why you can see that up to n, range means it won't consider n, right? So two factors are removed. 12 minus 10 will also give you the correct answer. But we know, but in this particular program, you're not considering 1 and n. So that's why it's 10 minus 8. Okay?
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, here for the return statement, the indentation is correct, or after the for loop and we have to for the indentation is correct or not for a return statement.
Oh, okay. Thank you for mentioning. Okay, I think this is what you are saying, right? Maybe this is why some people are getting it as 0. This is what you are saying, right? Maybe I
Yes,
mixed it
ma'am.
up.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I copy pasted it. So okay, so now good that you pointed it out. Thank you very much. Okay, so that is yeah. So the one important part of Python is you should be careful with your indentation. Okay, I made that mistake, so please don't make that mistake. Anyone else? Okay. Someone had question in the what's the time? Okay, I'll just very quickly explain the previous question. I think I explained it very clearly before, but very quickly I'm going to explain because we have 2 more questions. I want to finish it. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So this question, whoever had the doubt, I'm just going to say it in one line and then you try doing it on your own. Put different values of D. One thing that I do when I don't understand a program is I give print statements. So at every step, print D. At every step, print N. Then you'll see how it's changing as the program goes. You'll get a better idea. So we start with 1 and 0. It keeps increasing in a particular fashion. So 1 and 0 becomes 3 and 1 becomes 9 and 2, then it becomes 27 and 3, 81 and 4, etc. etc. It increases. D keeps increasing into a power of 3 and N keeps increasing by 1. So this is giving you the power of 3 and this is giving you the count or the exponent. Okay. So it increases up to the power which is just smaller than 27993 and that power is 10 and that's why you get 10. Okay, I just explained it very quickly, but this is the logic. Please
Excuse me, ma'am. One more doubt I have.
Yes.
Ma'am, here we have the same question in the week 1 assignment, the same pattern. In here, you in the explanation you put the function computes the smallest power of 3 and that is bigger than x. But here that is smaller than x, so we will not get 10. It's only 9.
I think I wrote the thing wrongly. It is smallest power of
But
x.
ma'am, the answer is coming out 9.
Okay, I'll check that later and I'll change the slide if needed. Let's go to the other questions for now. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Fine. This is the next question. So here we have 4 options A, B, C, D. So just answer A, B, C, or D in the chat. Okay. So here you have definition of the function f of n and some steps have been given. So just give the answer A, B, C, or D in this. How will you do the calculation in exam? Use pen and paper. So yeah, please answer A, B, C, D in the chat. Okay, someone has given C. Okay, I can see that the answers are seem to okay, A, B, C. All 3 answers I can see. Let's wait and see if there's a majority that comes up.
N is a perfect square.
Okay. Yeah, please put it in the chat and I'll see. Let's wait for some more time and we'll see the thing.
Ma'am, this is how the questions will be asked in exam, or this examples, ma'am?
These are the questions I'm asked to solve. These are related to your assignment. I have no idea about exam. I am not in charge of exam. Please ask the relevant people about exam. You can ask the NPTEL people, you can mail them, or you can ask in the discussion forum. So I don't know how the exam will be, but this is the questions that we have to solve. These are related to your assignment. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we can go to the answer. Many of you have answered. I can see, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of a mix between B and C, right? Maybe C is slightly more. The answer is actually C. Okay, so let's try to understand. We are having a
Ma'am, where
number.
are you from?
Please keep the questions related to the course, if it's possible. So the number is n. We are passing a number n to the function, right? And here we are actually checking. Now we are checking from 1 to n plus 1, which means we are checking all the numbers from 1 to n, right? That's why we have given n plus 1. So n is also considered. Now, what does this double slash mean? Does anyone know what this double slash means?
Yes, ma'am. Question.
Division operator.
Yes. So
It
this
gives
is
question.
basically integer division. Okay. So for suppose I give 3 by 2, I can show you this in the thing, that will be easier. If I give 3 by 2, that's 1.5. But if I give 3 double slash 2, that gives 1, because it gives only me the integer part of the answer. Is this clear for everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here
Yes.
what we're checking is if n double slash I is equal to I, which means that the divisor and the quotient are the same, and n mod I is equal to 0, which means it's completely divisible. So this is a complicated way of saying that n is a perfect square of I, right? Because it's completely divisible by I, and I into I gives n. Then I'm setting s is equal to 1. So s mod 2 equal to 1 means, so s can have two values only. Either s is 0 from the beginning, or if at all it's a perfect square, it gets set to 1. So s can have two possibilities only in this code.
Boolean.
S, hello? Okay. S can have only two possibilities. Either s is 0 or s is 1. Right? So the
Yes,
answer is
yes
true
has no
only.
meaning.
Hello?
Yes has no meaning in this question.
S has meaning in this question, right? S is set to 0 or 1. What do you mean?
No meaning in this question. Yes has no meaning, I think, in this question.
No, S has a meaning. That's what I'm coming to.
It is
Then
changing a Boolean.
you're comparing S with 1. If S mod 2 is 1, which means S, that
Madam,
basically,
if it is not a perfect square, S will be 0.
yes,
If it is a perfect square, S is 1.
yes, correct. That's what I was saying. What is your question? Okay. So S is 0 if it's not a perfect square, S is 1 if it's a perfect square. So it can have only two values, right? Either 0 or 1. Then finally you're comparing with 1. If S is not a perfect square, what is S? It's, sorry. If n is not a perfect square, what is S? It's 0. Which means this thing is false, right? 0 is not equal to 1. So this will give false. Whereas if S is a perfect square, then 1 is equal to 1 is true, and it gives true. So when does it give true? Only if S is 1. And when is S 1? Only if n is a perfect square. Okay? Any question, any doubt? Okay, someone asked, can you explain with numbers? Okay, let's try to do this with numbers, right? Let's say that n is 3. Okay, let's take n to be 3. Okay, then what all values will I take? If n is 3, what is the values of I?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Okay. First it will, okay, sorry. First it will check if 3 divided by 1 is 1. No. So that's not applicable. 3 divided by 2 is 1. No.
No.
Sorry, 3 divided by 2 is 2. No. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So again, for all three numbers, this condition does not apply. So S remains to be 0. That means when it compares S mod 2, which is 0 mod 2, which is 0 and 1, they are not equal. So this function, Please mute yourself if you're not talking and there's a lot of disturbance. Okay. So finally this gives false, right? Because 3 is not a perfect square. You do the same exercise for 4, right? 4 it will check with 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? So when 4, in the case of 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2 and 4 mod 2 is 0. So S will be set to 1, correct? So that means 1 is equal to 1. This statement is true. So it returns true. Do you understand now?
Ma'am, you written as percentile of 2 is equal to 1.
Yes. So it will give either true or false.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, great. So someone had asked, why don't you write an interpreter to get the answer? So the point is not to do that, right? The point is sometimes you should be able to do the problem even without putting it in your terminal so that you understand the logic. Right now we are trying to understand the logic. There is nothing difficult about putting this in Python and just telling you the answer. I can itself do that, right? Or I can ask ChatGPT to do it. The point is to try to understand the logic behind a program. That is also an important skill. Okay. So let's do the last question. We have 5 minutes left. So let's finish off with this last question. This is a question considering the following function, which is correct. So again, A, B, C or D. I'll give you 2 minutes. Please give the answers in the chat. Okay, someone says D. I'm not going to the previous slide. We only have 5 minutes. I want to finish this question. I'll be sharing all the slides with you. You please check it on your own time. Who is just the name of the function? Don't worry about it. Okay, I can see people are saying D, but there's also some people saying B and also C. But majority seems to be D. I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay, sorry, D is the answer. Fine. Yes, David, this is the same question. So then I'm going to go to the solution. I think we need to wind up the class. So the answer is actually D. I think majority of you gave D. It is basically if m is negative, the function doesn't terminate because it keeps going to minus 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 values. Whereas if m is positive, the moment m becomes 0, it stops the function, right? So we need the function to keep going. So basically, this is something called a recursive function because you can see that we are defining a function called foo of m, but in the function definition, we are again using that function, right? So similar thing can be done for factorial also, but here we are actually adding. So let's take an example of m is equal to 3. If m is equal to 3, m is not 0, so it goes to the else and it says, okay, calculate m plus foo of 2, right? So then it goes to 2. 2 is not 0, it goes here, return 3 plus 2 plus foo of 1. So goes back, it's not 0. So it goes to m plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus foo of 0, right? So then it goes back, foo of 0, m is actually 0, so it returns 0. So finally the answer is 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0. So it basically gives you a summation of 0 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3, and from your mathematics you should know that sum up to n is n into n plus 1 by 2. What's the problem if it's negative? It will never become 0. If I start with minus 1, it will just keep getting more negative. It will never become 0. So this will become an infinite loop. So problem with recursion is that you should always be careful that there's a terminating point. Otherwise, it will go to 0. I mean, sorry, it will go to infinity. Okay. So
Madam, I have one doubt. But
Yes.
eventually it returns 0, right?
No, suppose I start with minus 1. Minus 1 will become minus 2, minus 3, minus 4,
If it is
etc.
positive integer,
Yeah.
even then also finally it returns 0 only because it will
No,
not
no,
terminate
no,
until
no,
it
no,
is 0.
no. No. So it returns m plus f4 of m minus 1, right? So 3 plus 4 of 2, which is 3 plus 2 plus 4 of 0, 1. 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4 of 0. So 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 0. 0 is written there, but there is still the 3 plus 2 plus 1, right? So it's not an issue.
So what is the meaning of return?
Return means it will give that value. Here I am calling the function within the function. That's why it's called recursion. Okay. So here it will return 0 plus whatever values were there before. Finally, 3 is going to return this statement, right? To calculate what should be returned, something has to be returned within it. That can be 0. 0 plus something else is being returned. What is the issue?
No, ma'am. If m is equal to 0, return 0, it is written. So we should not read.
0 is the base case. 0 is the base case to break out of the recursion.
So can you see here? Can you see here that return, there is return 0, but there is another return statement also, right? Correct? So in that return statement, m plus foo of m minus 1, right? In this is also this function. That's why it's called recursion. Recursion means you're using one function to define itself. So here, in this function itself, I'm having that function. In here, it will be returning 0. There's no problem if it returns 0 here because it's 0 plus something. There is some value here. I hope you can understand. Okay.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as I said, I already explained with a number with 3. So again, if you don't understand any of these problems, I highly encourage you, write the program. Just write print statements everywhere. Here, just write print m or print foo of m. Then you will understand what's actually happening in the program. Okay. So I'm already over time, but let me just quickly tell you again about the thing because people asked. All the sessions will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube. This links will be shared with you. This is my email ID. I'm pasting it in the chat. If you have any questions throughout the week, I would prefer if you email me. You can ask me also that please cover this XYZ topic in the next class. If you ask me before Wednesday or something, I can incorporate in the class. Other than that, this is my website.
Hello.
In my website, I'll be having all the links for the slides and also the YouTube link. It's not there right now, obviously, but by tonight, I will be uploading all the links. Okay, so please go there. You'll find the slides, you'll find the YouTube playlist. I'll do it by today night. Okay, not obviously, I have to record, I have to save the video and then upload it. So I'll take some time, but by today night, it will be uploaded. Okay. Any questions
Hello.
about it?
Hello.
Yeah, please tell me.
Hello, ma'am. Which channel in YouTube?
So the
Which
link
channel?
is there. The link is there in my website. You can just find it. It's by my name, Xenia. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted
Ma'am,
to
can
ask.
you give your phone number?
No, I can't give my phone number. If you have anything, you can mail me. Anyone? Any other questions?
How can we get that course material, ma'am?
Course material is available on the NPTEL site. I'm saying your professor's websites are there in the professor's lecture slides are there on the NPTEL course page. Please check it. Please mute. Okay. So someone
How
asked if
we can your how can we get your slides? Your PPT, how can we get?
That's what I said. Please listen. In my website, if you can hear me, this is my website. Do you see that you can find the slides of the session here? So I have not uploaded it yet because today is the first class. By today night, I will upload it in this drive. You can go to my website, check today night. Okay, not in after some time. Go and click this link. You will find it. Go to YouTube. I will upload the link. It's not uploaded now because I have to still process the video. Click this link. You will find the playlist. Is it fine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Okay. Got it.
Okay, great. So
Could you
let's
please
stop
share
the
your
meeting.
website link in the chat box so that we can
Yeah,
browse after
I have
the.
already shared it in the chat. Maybe I can share it again.
Yeah. Just for that. So don't worry about that. Don't send again.
Okay, I shared it again. So let's stop the class for now. You're already 5 minutes beyond time. If you want to attend this class next week, same time, I will take the class. Other sessions will be taken on other days. Mostly the same material will be taken by the same all the TAs, so you can attend any one of them. If you, but I'm sure as you saw, programming has different approaches, right? The way I solve a problem may not be how someone else is solving a problem. So if you have the time, please try to attend all the classes. Okay?
So
Fine.
I have one question or I have one suggestion. If you can upload the PPTs before the class, then might be it would be great help for all of us. You know,
Okay, I'll
if you can upload the PPTs, then we can proceed or we can check what you will be able to.
Because I keep the answers in the slides, so I would rather share it afterwards because I want people to solve it in the class. I'm sure that if I
Yeah, that's
share
okay.
PPTs in advance, people just look at the answers in the slide. So I don't want that to happen. Okay, I've done this model for some classes, it works. So you just wait. I usually upload on the same day. Don't worry, there won't be any delay. By today
Yeah,
night, you
No,
ma'am.
will get this.
I'm not talking about the delay, but just I'm talking about the
So
solutions or the reading content. What reading content you will provide, and then so that we
the
can.
reading content is based on the class notes only. Whatever I
Yeah,
discussed today is not new. So
Okay.
it's just to
it's
recap
about
your
the previous
class.
week.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay then. Fine. Thanks for joining everybody on the weekend. So see you next week. And if you have anything until then, please mail me. Okay. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.